Hey guys, it's Leah and it's day 3 of the 30-day challenge here at Family Heritage Living. And I am honestly sitting here, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've been working all day, and I kept telling myself I've got to get a video done today so that I do day 3. And I'm thinking, what am I going to talk about? And that's crazy, I know, because you guys gave me all a bunch of great ideas. And it's just like, you ever just have like that brain freeze time? You just draw the blank? Well, that's where I'm at. Okay, so what I wanted to do today was I just wanted to continue on with the conversation, maybe in a roundabout different way, that we had yesterday concerning living off-grid, living with 5 guys. I'm the only female, and my husband asked me yesterday, did you tell him that I still had the guys outnumbered? I said, no, I wouldn't reveal that. But I wanted to continue on talking maybe a little bit about living in a small area and being off-grid. A lot of people wonder what it's like to live off-grid, and they also wonder why live off-grid. In fact, I had a comment the other day on, oh my goodness, it was an old video. It was down south, and it was probably almost 10 years old. It was a kitchen tour, and of course down south we were partially electrified, as most of you know, and we had real primitive furniture and stuff and decorating, and that was what the kitchen tour was about. And I must have talked, I haven't seen it for a long time, but I must have talked about using the ice box down there, and someone left a comment saying that you know, the rustic furniture was charming, but the rest of it seems a bit obsessive, and that their critique was that it was my doing and that I dragged my family along in it. And I find that enlightening because, well, it seems that there's a lot of armchair psychiatrists that can assume a lot about people when they post their lives on the internet in a very short period of time. And I bet that's the only video of ours that they watched. And a lot of people, that's just how a lot of people are. Not my dragging my family along, because actually, you know, most of you know that's the other way around. Ron put this lifestyle as far as primitive type living. The one thing he couldn't get over was the wood cook stove, and then after I pushed that issue, it was kind of a done deal. But you know, the facts are, we were talking about the tiny house movement yesterday, and you know, that's just a new name. You know, we've said it before in other videos. It's like the homesteading movement. There's nothing new under the sun, and it just gets renamed, and a different generation comes in and hijacks it or takes it and thinks that they've created this thing, and that's not the case. You know, when I grew up in the 70s, we lived in a small ranch home, probably less on the main floor. It was probably smaller than what we live in now, and we, you know, it was just my mom and myself and one of my sisters during my growing up years, so it seemed adequate. But my point is it was a small house, and some could deem it a tiny house today. Now she does have a full basement, but it was done that way. You know, she got that house because it was affordable, and that's how people did it for years. They bought smaller homes. There wasn't the bank loans for years. Of course, by the 70s there was, but just, you know, I'm just spewing stuff off as I'm thinking about this. And people today, when they do the tiny house thing, you know, we paid $35,000 for a bungalow house, our first home. And when I said the other day it was big, and it was big in comparison to tiny homes. It wasn't a whole lot bigger than what we have now. It was probably about 1,000 square foot, maybe 1,200 square foot. But the tiny houses that are pre-built are going for far more than that. And you know, we can go to the container homes. I can't think of what they are. They're the train containers. At one time those were affordable, then they became trendy. So when we look at finances and we say we do something because it's affordable, people that live in small homes because that's what they can afford. That's what they can afford. That's why we live in a home this size. I would like a home a little bit bigger, just because I have experienced the confines of a small space. And again, if you're just a couple, if you're a couple with just, you know, a child or two, or you're not doing everything from home, that makes a difference too. But when you're doing everything from home, it is very, very confining, or very tricky to make sure that you don't feel confined. Okay, so living in a small space isn't new, and it should never be trendy. It should be if it's an economical thing. We live here. We have the payment on the land. We have no mortgage on the house. Okay, on the cabin. The cabin is not finished because we don't have a mortgage on it, because we don't take out a loan to finish it. And it will get finished as we can afford it. Right now, it's just not priority. It's comfortable, it's dry, it's warm, it's clean, and that is our primary focus. Okay, so you're gonna laugh at this. I had to stop the video and back up and figure out what I started talking about. That's how my brain is just like on vacation today. So I was talking about, the one comment of, me dragging my family along, and that Ron actually instituted this kind of idea in us, and then we nurtured it together. It wasn't one totally dictating or the other totally dictating. We've nurtured it together. We've passed it on to our children. Our children are old enough. 2 of them are old enough. If they want it, if they don't want this life, they don't have to live it. But with that said, there are definite drawbacks to this lifestyle. Okay, I mean, there's nothing romantic really about living without electricity. Our decisions for living without electricity were manyfold. One, the lifestyle did appeal to us and called to us. We did prep, as most of you know, for years down south, eliminating electricity. And also economically, it was the only way we could afford to bring this dream to pass. We could not come up or have this dream and fulfill it with getting into debt, having to have electricity brought in and a well and septic and stuff, building in an area where there was massive housing code, residential area. If we wanted this lifestyle, we made some choices, and those choices were to go remote. It was to go in an area where remote cabins were acceptable. And so that's, those are the choices we've made. And now someday, living without electricity now for 4 years and missing some things of it that we didn't totally give up down south. Like the biggest thing I miss is running water. I miss the ability to have the running water. If the opportunity never arises that we can put in a well, or where I know some of you had suggested rain catchment system, and that has been a thought for us, but the thing with that is it's only good for part of the year, because we freeze up here, and we freeze for a long time. Our winters aren't short, our winters are long, and they are severe. So no matter what you choose to do, okay, there's decisions to make. And so for us, the ability to fulfill this dream was worth the price of the decisions we had to make, of things to give up or not to have. That doesn't make not having them a whole lot easier, but we had a Bible devotion this morning, and it was out of Psalms 100, and Ron loves to go around. Let me just get let me get a Bible. I can get a Bible. I've only got 15 of them. See if I can see without my glasses here. I believe it's just basically making a joyful noise unto the Lord. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know ye that the Lord he is good. It is he that hath made us, not we ourselves. And just to skip on down, into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him and bless his name. This is kind of good. I'm going to tie this into here. that's what this is about. No matter where you're at in life, no matter what you're doing, no matter what choices you've made, good or bad, right or wrong, you get to a point, and you should be at a point, especially if you're serving God. And for all you that aren't Christians, just hang in there with me, because I will bypass this into something else here, because it was a question that was asked from one of our viewers. For us, it is about being thankful. Okay, we got our family together. Our marriage it's seen some hard times, but it's held in there and it's bonded us, and God has been so good to us. And so for us to go without electricity, for us to go without running water, for us to go without this or that or the other thing that our society is so used to, in the big spectrum of things, it's not a big deal. I can't express, I'm flesh and blood, and I fight all these things all the time, just like you do, and anyone else does. I think about, oh boy, if I only had that, or oh boy, and I have to constantly be grabbing myself and redirecting my thought process to say, the person that said it was a little, quite extreme, it was extreme. Well, is it? I mean, who in the 21st century, how many out there have multiple cell phones, multiple computers, multiple screens to watch things in their homes, multiple cars, multiple bank loans, multiple credit card debt, multiple everything? And that's okay, because all that's modern. And it's not considered excessive, when in reality, who's really being excessive? So, all right. So with that said, and then somebody wanted to know too, and I think it's probably not the video to do it in, because I think it'll take too long, but I wanted to touch base, because I was talking about being thankful and where we're at. And somebody said, well, how did you know? How did you feel? And I'm paraphrasing here, but how did you feel God guiding you? What was it that he did to put you in a remote location? And I'm going to be honest with you. Lots of times, before and now, I've wondered how much of it was God and how much of it was our flesh. And I think in reality that's true for most of us, for anything we do. Okay. But the thing that I try to do is, regardless how we got here, okay, because it's funny when we want something, when we feel drawn to something, we can make a lot of excuses, and we can really tie God in there and say, well, God's guiding us. And there's really no way to know for sure. Okay, I can look at a lot of things and say, this is tough, this is hard, I sometimes don't feel God here. And then at the same time, I can say, this is tough, this is hard, and I know we couldn't make this without God. So, but what we can do, for any of us, no matter what decisions we make, once we're there, and maybe it was right, maybe it was wrong, is to give God thanks, to give him the glory, to what, as the word says in the word, what Satan meant for harm, God meant for good. And for, and again, one of our favorite verses, all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord, for those that are called according to his purpose. And we look at this and say, here, whether we drew ourselves here, whether God drew us here, whether it was a combination of both, when we peel away the layers, it's what we do with it now. So I guess in saying that, you guys can see that, this lifestyle brings a lot of questioning, a lot of self-inspection, because you wonder, did you do the right thing? Sure, it'd be easier another way, but it doesn't always, I think that's why it's important to realize that no matter where you're at, no matter what you've got, God deserves the glory and thankful hearts and thanksgiving to what he's given. So with that said, I don't know if I've really said anything in this video or not. I was really struggling with what to do. And so that's just what came out, and that's what's there. So I will try to title it Living Off Grid from a Christian Perspective. So for any of you that aren't Christians, if you feel like you just got a mini sermon, then I'll forewarn you, but I guess you won't know that until the end of the video, will you? So, all right. Well, hey, we made it through day 3. I need to edit this and get this up because I think it's almost 4 o'clock. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully a little more organized in my thought process. But y'all have a good night. We'll talk later. God bless.